Alright, what's going on everyone? Today I'm going to show you how to upgrade the Desert Oasis starter deck on a budget. We will not be spending rares, so if you want to upgrade these, you need to go to the starter deck tab, you need to select a deck, and you need to clone it because you cannot edit these. And this is going to add a copy into your My Decks tab, which you can now change to your liking. You need to click this deck box here, or if you're in this mode, you need to click it up here, and you need to switch it to standard. I've had people say that they can't find the cards I'm suggesting, or they cannot play with the deck, and that's because we are building a standard deck, not an alchemy deck. So what is this deck? Well, it's kind of in the name. It's a desert. It's a ramp deck technically, but if we're ramping, we have desert payoffs, things that care about deserts. We also have explore stuff because these help find lands, and we just have, if I just type land, we have lands. We care about lands. This is a lands matters ramp big stuff deck. We want to play big stuff, and we do it by having some desert payoffs. So I will say, before we get into this, on a budget, I don't really think there's much reason to focus on the explore mechanic. There's really only one good explore payoff in common and uncommon, and that's this card, and I think it's pretty cool. I actually, when I first started upgrading this, I had this in the deck, but in order to play this, it basically says when you explore, you kind of get a double explore. It's weird. This explores kind of when other things explore, but there's just not a lot of good explore stuff to play on a budget. It's really not that much good explore stuff to play on a non-budget. I mean, I guess we'll get more of these, and this card's pretty good. I guess there's some okay stuff, but I don't know. We're not going to be focusing on explore. We're going to be focusing on deserts, like with this. This is an awesome budget card for deserts. There's also this card, which before playing this deck, I don't think I would have thought this card was very good. And my god, is this card really good. So, yeah, deserts, that's what we're doing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add more copies of this. Oh, this is one of these decks. I'm going to put the 5-drop here so I don't have to scroll constantly. But we're going to put these in by taking these out. So this is a 3-mana 2/2. When it enters, we make a map token, which then lets us explore. So in order to explore, we have to basically pay 4 mana on a 2/2 flyer. It's not that great. But this card, 3 mana 1/2. When it enters, you search your library for a desert, preferably, and we put it into our hand, and then it gets +1/+1 for each desert we control. So currently there's only 4 deserts in the deck, so we'll be adding some of these common and uncommon deserts later. But for now, it's a 3 mana 1/2, it finds a land, and it's very often huge. Like, it's very easy for this to be like a 3 mana 5/6 or something. So we're going to take 2 of these out. Going to add 2 of these in, because it's like one of our main payoffs. Next, while we don't plan to have explore payoffs, there are some good explore cards we can play, like C-Note Scout. So this is a 1 mana 1/1, okay. It surveils 2, which I don't think we have any graveyard payoffs, but fine. And then we can exile it from the graveyard to put a counter on something. All of this is just like, okay. Maybe this is good in like self-mode decks, but this explores. We're not going to be playing explore payoffs. We're not trying to explore, but it finds lands, and it's a 1-drop that finds lands. Or it doesn't find lands, and it's a 1 mana 2/2. Either's fine. We're fine with either of those things. So just want to take 2 of these out, add 2 of these in. And we're also, this is a slight optimization that might be optional, but I'd rather have a 1 mana 1/1 that explores as opposed to a 2 mana 1/2. By the time we get to 2, we're going to be playing like stuff like this. We want to ramp. So I don't want to be playing this on turn 2 ideally. And I mean, I'd rather just have 4 of these. So we're going to take these out, play 4 copies of C-Note Scout because it's pretty good. Next, this card, 2 mana 1/3, taps for a mana, all fine. You can pay 1, tap it for any colors if you need blue. Alternatively, we could just play Armored Scrap Gorger, and it just taps for any color automatically. So we're trading a 2 mana 1/3 for a 2 mana 0/3. We're basically never going to be attacking with this anyway. The 1 power is, I guess, good on defense. But this, on the other hand, when we tap it, we can exile a card from a graveyard. So that's main board graveyard hate, just an upside, not like necessary. But when you exile something, it gets an oil counter. And once it has 3 or more, it becomes a 3/3. So we're trading 1 power early, but turning this into a 3/3 late. So it's a late game attacker that's a mana ramper early. And I just like it better. It also can tap for any color without needing to pay 1, so it taps for blue automatically. And that means both of our things can tap for any color. We have this as well. So yeah, it's pretty good, I think. Next, map the frontier. So when I built these decks, I always like to look at what other people have done with like desert decks. Like there's some Gruul desert decks, there's some Simic desert decks, there's some Selesnya, Naya desert decks, and a lot of them play this, and I just don't think it's very good. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I don't like it. 4 mana, you get 2 lands. I mean, it does ramp you like crazy, right? 4 mana means you can have as much as 7 mana on turn 5, which is, I don't like it. I don't like it. So we're playing Dance of the Tumbleweeds. So it's a little bit worse if we just find a land. Is it worse? It's 3 mana, you pay 2, then you pay 1, and you get to search for a desert. So we get 4 mana for 2 deserts or 3 mana for 1 desert. However, it also has 3 make an elemental with power and toughness equal to our land count. So we can, on turn 5, just play a 5 mana 5/5 if we want. And also, on turn 6, we can play this, find a land, and make a 7/7. And the later in the game we draw this, the better it gets. Because, like, if we top deck this, let's say it's late in the game, we're out of resources, we're out of cards in hand, and we draw this. Great, it does nothing. If we draw this, we can still pay full price for it, get a land, and also make a huge creature, right? So this is clunky. Like on turn 4, maybe it's good. It probably loses us the game. We probably play it and just get attacked and die. And then in the late game, it also sucks because it doesn't do anything. This is just like always good. So yeah, I'll take 2 of these out. I don't like it. I don't like it very much. I'm sorry. This really should be a 3-drop. We'll put it here. So we've been fixing the ramp. Now we need to fix the payoffs. Let's talk about Beanstalk Worm and how I'm gonna take it out. 5 mana 5/4 reach is not great, and we can pay 2 to play an additional land. Note that doesn't find a land, so if we don't have a land, then it doesn't do anything. What I want to play is underrated, I think, but we're gonna play Spinewood Armadillo. I didn't see this much in desert decks. Why would you not play this in desert decks? So first off, the creature, 6 mana, 7/7. Reach and Ward, which I like better than the 5 mana 5/4 with Reach, but we can also pay 2 and discard it to search our library for a desert or any land. We put it into our hand, and then we gain 3. So if we are short on lands, it's 2 mana, find a desert, gain 3, and in the late game, it's massive, it has Ward 3, so it's hard to target, it's just very good. So yeah, I'm going to take 2 of these out, and I think this is a fantastic top-end payoff, but also a mana fixer if we need it. I like it so much that we're also going to add another copy by taking out 1 River Herald's Guide. So obviously this is just a much cheaper creature, 3 mana, 3/1 vigilance, and it explores. But this is just such a good payoff. We have tons of ramp, right? We have this ramps, this ramps, this ramps, this finds lands, this explores, which we can play early, this explores and finds lands, this explores. We have so many ways, like almost all of this is either ramp or like we have some removal. But what are we ramping into, right? We have 2 of these, 1 of these, that's it. So I think it's worth taking out 1 of the land things early for 1 more of these, just to give us something to actually ramp into. And if we get flooded with these, remember, we can always discard it to find a land and gain some life. Next, similarly, I want another payoff, and so I think it's worth taking out this. It's pretty bad. 4 mana 4/3, it explores, so it can maybe be a 4 mana 5/4, or it finds a land. It's okay. It's not, but this card is pretty cool for this archetype. So 6 mana 6/5 with reach, but it costs 1 less if we control a desert, so it's a 5 mana 6/5 with reach, which puts it pretty much on pace for when this gets a counter, right? It's a 4 mana 5/4 or a 5 mana 6/5. However, when this gets targeted, we draw a card. So it's a big creature that if the opponent tries to remove it, it replaces itself, which is pretty awesome. So I think it's worth taking out 2 of these and going up to 4 copies of this. And I would say that on a non-budget, this goes right into Colossal Rattleworm. This is the better creature in my opinion, but on a budget, because that's rare, we'll be playing 4 of these. Great, let's talk about the deserts. We're going to add 1 Conduit Pylon, 4 Mirage Mesas. This is unfortunately a lot of lands that enter tapped, and we'll be taking out basics. So first off, let's talk about Mirage Mesa. It enters tapped, which sucks. It means we're playing 8 lands that enter tapped. Kind of a bummer, but it can tap for any color. Then this taps for colorless, but can also pay 3 tap to make a creature not able to block, which is very relevant because we usually have some just absolutely massive creatures. And then this, it taps for colorless, it doesn't enter tapped, it surveils 1 when it enters, and we can still filter to a color if we need to. So we're going to take out 3 of these, 3 islands, 3 forests, going to add these, and this massively increases our desert count specifically for this card. So there's tap lands if you don't care about it entering tapped that turn. You have untapped ones that you can grab that tap for colorless, but enter untapped right away. And all of these deserts can make these things just absolutely huge. All right, let's talk about rares. Bonnie Paul, Colossal Rattleworm, and not in the deck, and a new card in Bloomburrow is Lumra, rare in Mythics, right here. So Colossal Rattleworm has flash as long as we control a desert. That makes it a 4 mana, 6/5 with trample and flash, which is kind of crazy. And then if it dies in the graveyard, we can pay 2 and exile it to search our library for a desert and put it onto the battlefield, tapped, but onto the battlefield. So it's a massive, super early, super aggro creature that flashes in as a surprise blocker to kill a creature. And then if it dies, it ramps us and gets us more lands. It's crazy. And it's much better than, like, say, this card, which isn't very good. Or I suppose these are also pretty weak. This also not very good. I guess I should pull out all the pretty mid cards. We have one of these still in the deck. You could definitely take out the Herald for one of these. Both of these are budget. I mean, they're good, but they're definitely budget for our non. Like, all of these are pretty mid. So anyway, Colossal Rattleworm, very good. Can go into like basically any of these. Bonnie Paul, 6 mana, 6/5 with reach. Awesome. When it enters, we make a legendary Ox that has power and toughness equal to our land count. Awesome. When you attack, this doesn't have to attack. Whenever you attack with anything, you get to draw a card and put a land onto the battlefield from your hand or from your graveyard, which is very good with Fabled Passage, because this can crack, get a land, and then you can return it if you don't have another land. So that's cool. This is also very good with Lumra. Lumra is a 6 mana Vigilance Reach that has power and toughness equal to our land count, so it's just like the Ox. And when it enters, we mill 4 and then return all lands from our graveyard to the battlefield, which is pretty good with these Fabled Passages as well. Those are rare lands. So basically, all of these are amazing, and they can go into like any of the stuff here. I know Spelunker is technically in the 1-drop slot, but you're never paying 1 for it. I mean, I guess you could play it as a 1 mana 1/1. But, you know, it's more like a 3 to 5 to 6 drop, right? You're usually playing it late. So taking this out isn't going to, like, hurt your curve because you're never playing this down here either way. I would say the weakest are probably these two. Can just go out for anything. River Herald Guide for Rattleworm is fine. This also for Rattleworm would be fantastic. But yeah, that's our deck for now. The deck has definitely felt much more consistent. It ramps more consistently. It has just more payoffs. Having these like dual, you know, it's a payoff or a ramper depending on what we need is very nice. Same thing with this. It is both a find a land and also a payoff for lands. So both of these just make the deck more consistent. Same thing with Dance of the Tumbleweeds. Being able to both find lands and be a payoff. Because you don't want lots of ramp and then no payoff. And you don't want to draw all these payoffs with no ramp, because then you can't play anything. So having these things that both find lands and are also payoffs for having lots of lands really smooth out the deck and make it feel more consistent, like it does the same thing every game, which is nice. So that's it. Hopefully that's useful. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.